Old Starlight in a vintage clock. Night had deepened. Outside the window, plane tree leaves swayed gently in the rain, tapping the glass with fine, brittle sounds. In the old clock shop, warm yellow light fanned out from a brass lamp, casting web-like shadows across the floorboards. Chen Shuyan was carefully polishing the last gear on his workbench with a velvet cloth. The air held a peculiar blend of machine oil and old wood. The brass filigree still carried traces of oil. This was his 33rd year guarding the shop. Grandfather clocks in the corner ticked and talked, as if whispering about the years gone by. Suddenly, the tall clock in the corner gave a click of misaligned gears, and its hands jammed at 11 as though some unseen finger had pressed pause. The pendulum hung mid-swing, trembled slightly, and came to a stop. The whole shop seemed to grow quieter with it. Just then the doorbell chimed, its crisp notes breaking the calm. A woman stepped in with a chill wrapped around her, the hem of her black coat dripping, dotting the wooden floor with dark spreading stains. She unwound a wet scarf to reveal a pale yet delicate profile. The droplets on her lashes made her amber eyes look especially fragile. She tapped rain from her shoes and let her gaze drift slowly over the clocks crowding the walls, a trace of imperceptible confusion in her eyes. "Do you repair pocket watches?" Her voice was soft, as if afraid to disturb the slumbering time within the shop. Chen Shuyan took the silver pocket watch. The rose engravings on its case had been worn blurred by the years. Opening the back, he noticed a faint white mark on her ring finger, like the imprint left by a long-worn ring. A tiny dry sprig of lavender was caught where the gears meshed. It shivered down as he moved. It drew him, unbidden, to thoughts of his wife, who used to keep lavender on the sill, saying the purple blossoms brought peace. When they bloomed, the whole house carried a gentle scent, and even the ticking of the clock seemed to soften. "Come back at this time tomorrow." He set the watch into a wooden box labeled No. 7. Looking up, he found the woman absorbed in an old photograph on the wall. It showed him and his wife in front of the shop 30 years ago. His young wife cradled their year-old daughter, her brows and eyes curved with laughter. The edges of the photo had begun to yellow, and a small red dot scribbled long ago by their daughter's crayon colored one corner. Beside it hung a bunch of dried lavender, his wife's favorite decoration while she lived. "Your wife looks gentle." The woman's fingers traced the photo's edge. "My grandmother had the same smile," as she used to say. Real time, ISN, T the numbers on a clock at S, the stories tucked into our wrinkles. Her gaze lingered on the lavender in the photo, turning distant. My husband loved lavender too. Our balcony was full of it. He said the scent of the flowers was the scent of happiness. The rain thickened, drum beating against the glass. The woman softly asked to borrow an umbrella. Chen Shuyan searched the storeroom. He heard the tiniest sob from the front room, standing just behind the doorframe with the umbrella in hand. He saw the woman staring at the stopped tall clock, her shoulders trembling. Faint prints smudged the glass cover marks from when his daughter would stand on tiptoe. Palms pressed against it, counting the pendulum's bars. In the display case near the clock lay an array of pocket watches. Her gaze paused for a long while on one silver piece of similar make. "This clock has kept me company for half a lifetime," he said gently, breaking the silence. "When I proposed, I waited for her under this clock for 3 hours. She wore a blue cheongsam that day, and I remember every step she took down the alley." His palms stroked the carved wood. When our daughter was born, we carved her name into the base, and every year on her birthday, we measured her height against it. See the little notches? Can still trace how she grew year by year. The woman turned, eyes rimmed red. The first gift my husband ever gave me was this pocket watch. He said time would prove everything. She paused, her voice catching. But last month he told me our time wasn't enough. The day he left was a rainy day like this. I held the stopped watch and felt the whole world's gears jam. She lifted a hand to the spot where the watch usually rested, as if she could still feel the warmth he'd left behind. We used to listen to the pendulum on rainy nights. He said that was time singing. Chen handed her the umbrella and a packet of freshly baked ginger tea cakes besides. It was a recipe passed down from his wife. Dried ginger mixed with brown sugar, something to warm you on rainy days. Watching her vanish into the rain, he suddenly remembered his daughter's wedding to Rainy too. She'd clung to him in tears, saying she couldn't bear to leave the home with all the old clocks ticking. That day, every timepiece in the shop seemed to run slower, as if reluctant to let go. Late that night, as Chen worked alone, the task light cast a soft halo on his face. Inside the pocket watch's liner, he discovered a yellowing slip of paper. In neat, delicate handwriting. When the cherry blossoms fill the whole street, we'll go see the sea. He remembered then the faint sakura scent on the woman's coat, just like his wife's favorite perfume. The year his wife grew gravely ill, he planted a row of cherry trees outside the hospital window, promising her that when they bloomed, he would take her to Kamakura to see the ocean. They never made it. By the time the blossoms opened, she was gone, their pink petals falling like voiceless sighs onto the windowsill. Under the lamp, he inspected the gears closely and found a line of tiny engraving inside the case. To my star. It drew him back to the first wristwatch he'd given his wife, the back of which he had had etched my moonlight. He had scrimped and saved for 3 months to buy it, gifting it on their wedding anniversary. She'd been as delighted as a child. It seemed that no matter how time changes, lovers tuck their hearts into the smallest of details. The next morning, sunlight slatted through the blinds, dappling the floor. Chen fitted a new mainspring into the watch. As he adjusted it, a faint music floated out canon in D. It had been the background music at his and his wife's wedding. He had secretly practiced piano for 3 months just to surprise her with it. The tears that welled in her eyes when she heard it were still vivid in his memory. When the woman came to collect the watch, she wore an off-white dress. The instant she saw it ticking again, her eyes glinted with tears. He bought it with his first month's wages. After it broke, I didn't dare fix it. I felt that once it was repaired, all the time connected to him would truly be over. She tilted the watch gently, listening to the music within, a faint smile touching her lips. He always said that when we grew old, we'd take this watch to the seaside and listen to the waves. Chen handed her a small bag of Sakura cookies. My wife used to say that time takes away sorrow, but not love. See these old things in the shop? Each holds a story. As long as someone remembers, they live forever. The woman's hand trembled as she accepted the cookies. She murmured a thank you, and as she turned, he noticed tiny embroidered waves along the hem of her dress, like a quiet vow to the future. At closing time, Chen found a pot of gardenias on the threshold. The white petals, beaded with water, breathed a sweet, delicate scent. Tucked into the soil was a note. Thank you for letting time flow again. The evening breeze carried the laughter of distant children, and suddenly the hours inside the shop felt lighter. Abe took the ceramic vase his wife had left and set the gardenias in it, placing them on the windowsill beside the lavender. Their mingled fragrances were exactly the scent of when she was still there. The last of the sunset poured through the glass, gilding the blossoms with a soft gold. On the weekend, while sorting old things, Chen found half a cherry blossom bookmark in his wife's jewelry box. Its sakura pattern had faded, but its fine lines were still visible. He suddenly remembered the other half. Years ago, he'd given it to the little neighbor girl who always chased butterflies. She had worn pigtails, her eyes crescenting when she smiled. The memory slowly overlapped with the woman's younger face in his mind. He looked at the fresh cherry blossoms outside the window and realized some hours never truly leave. They just take on another form of companionship. He gently fit the two halves together, and a full cherry blossom bloomed in his palm. He fetched his tools, determined to fix the stopped tall clock. When he opened the case, he found a stack of letters hidden in a compartment in the base letters his wife had written but never sent. The paper still held a faint trace of her perfume, the handwriting gentle and graceful. She wrote about secretly saving money to buy him new tools, about the joy of hearing their daughter say, "Papa," for the first time. About how she had long known her diagnosis, but hoped to walk a little further with him. Chen sat on the floor, reading the familiar strokes as tears fell, blurring the ink. Outside, cherry blossoms drifted on the wind as if silently consoling him. 3 days later, the woman returned, carrying a delicate frame. Inside was a photo of her and her husband beneath a cherry tree. He held her shoulder, both of them smiling brilliantly. The blossoms fell like pink snow. "I've decided to go see the sea next month," she said, light now in her eyes. I'll take the repaired watch, sew it S like he is going with me. Her voice had an ease, a loosening, as if a heavy burden had been set down. Chen nodded toward the tall clock, now in motion. See, time has started again. The pendulum swung left and right, spilling warm light into every corner. As the woman left, the sun passed through the shop window, laying a long shadow across the floor, like a silent embrace. The clock seemed to feel the warmth too. Their ticking turned especially buoyant. At dusk, as the last ray skimmed the tall clock, Chen heard the gears purr smoothly. He set the family portrait his daughter had mailed on the workbench, front and center. In it, his daughter held her child, a smile, the mirror of her mother's. Outside, cherry blossoms drifted down onto the sill like letters from time. The air held the mingled scents of flowers and oil, the smell of home, the smell of time. Time never truly stops. The traces of love, the warm moments, will always, in some unguarded instant, flow again with gentle light. Like the gears within an old clock, even if they catch for a while, a careful touch sets them singing once more. And every soul waiting to be healed will, in the long river of time, find its own starlight.